Alright guys, as I said in my previous video, we're going to try and fix this carbon fibre gauge holder. This is something for you guys to learn from me too. Don't make the same mistake I did. Just be excited that it's a cheap price. Always check before you actually take ownership of something or purchase it. Make sure it's got all the mounting points you need and everything like that. You don't want to be doing stuff like this. I mean, it's good for a video, but hey, it would have been better if it just slotted in there so I could have got the best of both worlds. What I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and put some plastic, cut out some rectangles of plastic just to raise this up a little bit, and then put these screws there with like a 10mm bolt around it so it sits in there like so. As you can tell, there's barely any thread there to get a nut around that to obviously tighten it up. That's the point of obviously raising it a little bit. So with that being said, we'll get started. I'm not 100% sure what kind of plastic I'm going to use. If I had like old credit cards or something like that, I'd probably use that. I don't have any of that stuff here, so I guess I'm going to be using some just plastic from packaging. See how that turns out. I might even see if I can use an ice cream container package. That would probably be best. But yeah, bear with me. Alright guys, I ended up using an old ice cream container. Basically this type of plastic. It's not the strongest stuff out there, it's pretty flimsy, but it should do the job. I've just cut it into little rectangles or squares, whatever you want. I mean, that's a rectangle shape there. And the plan is to obviously just glue them down like that, just so it gives it that little bit more lift, or raises it up just a touch, in order to obviously make it so I've got some thread there to put the bolts through. I'm using this stuff here. I bought it from Audi. Easy repair, self-mixing, and I don't know how well you can see that, but it's got a tube that goes kind of down in a spiral, so it mixes in the glue as you're using it. So we use that now. Guys, just a bit of a reminder, when you're using stuff like this or doing stuff in a garage, using glues and paints and whatnot, it's a good idea to wear some ventilation stuff and some protective eyewear, just in case anything splashes back up at you or anything like that. Again, do this stuff if you're young and you need adult supervision. Get some adult supervision. I'm 30 years old, so I don't need adult supervision, I don't think. This stuff sets in about 5 minutes, which is part of the reason why I got it, is because I want it to set rather quickly so I can obviously get this done sooner rather than later. Make sure you don't get any, obviously, of the glue on the actual carbon fibre stuff on the outside. You don't want to have to be cleaning that up off there. Not to mention, I'm not sure if it can be cleaned off there, so it's better just to be safe than sorry. I'm going to leave it like that for now. Wait 5 minutes or so for this stuff to dry. Apparently it dries really quickly, and come back to it. Alright guys, the glue has dried. Well, it's pretty much dry. I mean, it's dry to touch, so no point in obviously delaying moving forward. It's going to be difficult to mount, because when you place it in there like so, you think that it should be pushed right up against the top here, but it's actually not meant to. It's meant to sit just a bit below. I don't have a pen long enough to obviously get in there and mark it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the glue down first, and then try and wriggle them around whilst they're drying. Obviously the dry time is about 5 minutes, so if I manage to get it in the right position, then we should be okay. So we'll do that now. Alright guys, I've just put a bit of glue on the tabs here, and while it's still down, I'm just going to obviously move it, so I've got to put it on a bit of an axis so it doesn't slide off, because the glue is quite, well, the viscosity of it is quite high when you first put it on. As you can see there, it's probably sliding down, which means I need to put this up a bit higher. So yeah, as I said, look, just when you buy these parts, used parts from people that you don't know, just obviously have a word to them about, or just make sure you double check everything really. I ended up texting that guy that I bought this from and just said, hey man, look, how did you put the gauges in there when you had it? And he said, oh, I had aftermarket gauges. So that makes sense. Obviously there's enough room for the aftermarket gauges to go through, and then they clip in back here. So that would have looked quite good, but obviously not ideal for what we're using it for, which I guess is one of those things where people buy the carbon fiber stuff because they're going full aftermarket on everything, whereas me, I'm a huge fan of the Nismo gauges, so obviously want to keep using them. We'll let that dry, or get to the point where we can start moving it around a bit, and it's about to dry, and we'll come back to it. Alright guys, it's the next day now. I was hoping to get this done yesterday, but it didn't work out that way. What I found is this is bonded quite well. It's solid there, and they're not going anywhere. Unfortunately, what happened was when I glued the screws down, and how well you can see that, but it's just peeled away. So it was flat on there like so, and then it just peeled away, and didn't work out very well. So I've gone to the shops today and I've gotten this, which is Sika epoxy putty for bonding, sealing, filling and repair. Basically what it does is it gets rock hard within 3 minutes, they reckon. Can be grounded, sanded, drilled and painted. So my plan is to take this stuff here. First I'm going to grab some sandpaper and rough this down a little bit so it gives it a bit of something to bond to, and just basically make a couple of, I guess, tabs there that I can actually drill into, to obviously make it so I can mount the gauges properly. I've gone on the forums and everything like that. No one's really done anything like this before, so it's a bit hard to find information about it, but I'm hoping this stuff here will help, and we'll go from there. So I'm gonna sand it down now. I'm gonna probably be using some 80 grit, just because I want to get it really rough, and basically take it from there and see what happens. As I said, bodywork and stuff like that I'm not really great at. I don't do very much of it often, so I'm not a specialist when it comes to this stuff here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just sand down the inside of it here, just obviously make it so this epoxy putty stuff can grip onto something. I think maybe that was the problem with the other glues, that this wasn't rough enough for it to bond to. I don't know how true that is. As I said, I'm not a bodywork professional or anything like that, but I think that may be what the problem is. So we'll give that a bit of a sand. That's pretty rough now, so I shouldn't have a problem with it bonding to anything. And the plan is just to use a little bit at a time, but actually make it so I can add more to it, if that makes sense, as opposed to go hell for leather, add heaps of it, and then obviously have to sand it down. I don't want to be doing sanding on this thing here. It's carbon fiber. It's not really fragile, but it's fragile enough that you can make mistakes and burn it and things like that. And I don't want to burn through the clear coat or anything like that. So I guess what you do is you just take, I guess, a handful like that. I guess that they're the two mixing agents that are in it, and you basically just mix it thoroughly, I guess, until it's one uniform color, like most things. I don't know how well you can see that, but roll it up. You probably can use gloves for this too. I should probably be using gloves, but I'm not, because I'm just trying to rush through this. Also, eyewear and a face mask wouldn't go astray. Obviously accidents do happen, and you don't want to be in that 1% where something has happened and it's obviously affected your health or your eyesight or anything like that. Yeah, pretty much it just says clean the surface of all grease, loose particles, things like that. Wear protective gloves, cut off the required amount of putty, knead for 1 minute to uniform color, then use within 2 minutes. It says if you want a smooth shape, you can rub it with water. I'm going to say that's a pretty uniform shape. I'm just going to put one there like so. Again, I need something to be able to drill into. I'm going to try and fold it around the actual edges of it so it can adhere better, if that's even possible. Kind of loop it underneath it. which is a general idea. So yeah, I'll do that side now. Well, that side's done now. I'm going to do the other side, and I'll come back after it's dried and we'll go from there. Alright guys, it's been about 5 minutes now. I've let it sit there. I've added more on this side here, but a word to the wise, make sure you wear gloves when you do this. It was a real pain in the butt to get it off my hands. So yeah, probably best to wear gloves, which it does recommend in the description here. Basically, I don't know if you can hear this, but it's pretty much solid now. Probably within the next 5-10 minutes it'll be more so firm, which means obviously then we can drill into it and obviously get this placed in there and situated so we can obviously drill through and so on and so forth. But my original idea was to obviously make this and then just put this in there and get like a bit of a mold happening, so then obviously I can just put that in and it could stay. But this stuff is so, I guess, malleable, that if you try and put anything in there, it's just going to stick on there. And then what I didn't want to happen is when I move this, take out a big chunk and then I've got to start all over again. So we'll play it this way to begin with, and we'll let that dry and then we'll come back and see what we can do with it. Alright guys, I made a bit of a mistake, or there was a bit of a mishap. This part here that I originally put down, I'm sure you can see a bit of the carbon fibre there, just came directly off. You can see there it's quite smooth there and whatnot, and I don't think it had anything to grip to be honest with you. That's why I've redone it, but I've kind of moulded it around. On this side here I've drilled 2 holes. Just had a small drill bit, and I've drilled 2 holes, and I've just basically grabbed one of these screws here just to mount it, get an idea of what it's like to mount, and it seemed to come out okay. So the plan is to obviously put this in there now, align it so this goes where it needs to, and then draw holes on the other side and mount it up and see what it looks like there. Again, I don't know if this is going to work. I'm just putting my thinking cap on and obviously trying to make the best of what I've got. The other option was to obviously get a carbon fiberglass kit and try and obviously re-fiberglass some mounts and stuff like that. I don't have the competency, I think, to do that, so I'm not 100% sure on how to do that. I know it's quite messy, and probably a bit more lengthy than doing this, and I don't really have time for that, to be honest with you. Just kind of want to get this done and in the car, to get an idea of what it looks like. So I reckon that should be it. I'm gonna drill a hole now into the actual compound. Obviously make sure not to go all the way through. I've just got this little drill bit here, which connects to obviously one of these. This is really handy to have, especially for those smaller drill bits, and it just seems to obviously work quite well. So what I'll do now is I'll mount that up and then I'll turn it around and show you guys what it looks like after I've screwed it in. Alright guys, so it's mounted in there now. Not sure how well you can see that, but that's pretty much as good as we're going to get it. Yeah, like I said, not bad for a home job. I think it's pretty much well lined up, from what I can see. Remember, it points slightly to the right, so obviously the driver can see everything. If anything, maybe the boost needs to come up a hair, if that. But for the most part, I think it's pretty much set. That's what it looks like from behind. Obviously the putty there, that's mounted, and then I've got a couple of screws in there holding it down. You don't want to be too rough with this stuff because it is quite brittle. So what we'll do is I will probably mount this up in the next couple of days and show you guys. I'll bring out the whole video together, so obviously you guys aren't waiting for me to mount it in, and I'll show you guys the finished product after we're done. Hey guys, it's the day before I'm going to install the carbon fibre one for you guys to have a look at, but I just wanted to show you guys what I meant with driving at night and the silver gauge holder being on there, and how the lights reflect on obviously the surroundings. So I think you'll all agree it looks pretty good. It does look quite good at night, if I'm honest, especially because it's shining upwards and out, and it just really illuminates the rings a bit more. Look, I'm going to put the carbon fibre one on tomorrow anyway and show you guys, and you can be the judge of it and tell me which one you think looks better. Alright guys, so it's the next day, and as I promised, I would put in the carbon fibre one to have a look at. To be straight up honest with you, I think I prefer the silver one. This doesn't look too bad, but the silver one just brightens up the interior a bit more. I mean, I think the reason why I like the silver one better is because the panels down here are silver. I think that suits the car a bit better. Again, if I was to go down the carbon fibre route, I would probably order the full kit from somewhere, which includes obviously this part here, the cigarette ashtray, this part here, and obviously the covering that goes around here too. I would do the lot, but as for this piece in particular right now, I don't think, I'm not a huge fan of it. I don't actually like the way it even sits, to be honest with you. I'm not sure if you can see how well you can see that, but there's a bit of a gap down there. That wouldn't really trouble a lot of people, but it annoys the hell out of me. And I do think there are better examples of this out on the market. So $50, it's not a bad learning experience. I mean, I can probably sell this for $50 and I haven't really spent any money on it, apart from buying the stuff that I use to make the holes to mount it. But even that too, like I think I did really well with the holes. You can see it's all mounted up properly there. So yeah, I mean, if any of you guys want this, send me a message and I'll do you a good price, postage and whatever. But I'm probably just going to whack it up on Gumtree and see if someone else wants to purchase it. Alright, yeah, as I said guys, that's it. I just wanted to do a video about obviously fixing this and testing how both of them look. Again, I think I prefer the silver one, but let me know what your thoughts are. Thanks guys, bye.